Roger, the disappointment here.
Well, I wanted to provide you with a little background.
I appreciate that.
There we go, we're on streaming.
Okay.
And Dan, I changed that. You were totally right. I'm so sorry.
Were you questioning whether Dan was totally right?
No. No. She got tenure in 2002, not 92.
Okay. Next on the agenda, the good of the cause. Does anybody wish to speak here? Okay, so we'll move on to reports. First report is by our very own Joan Valentine on the policy committee. I do have a report from Martha, who said everything in the executive content would be fine and that Joan will carry the ball from here. So,
thank you, Martha.
Actually, I made that up. She did say everything in executive content would cover what she would go over.
The policy committee met on January 9th, and we discussed two policies, actually. The first one we did is policy 8414.5, which is the drug and alcohol testing of drivers. It's a policy and it's a required regulation, but we suggested, they had some suggested changes, so we decided to put that as a Google Doc and discuss it at our next meeting. And I don't know if that's happened yet. The other one that we discussed was the Code of Conduct, which is policy 5300. This is a very lengthy policy. It's got 15 sections. It's also required, they had update optional, and one change was required, which was to include a space to list the name and the contact information of our Dignity Act coordinator in the Code of Conduct. We had a lot of discussion about that because we weren't sure why. So we felt that it was a little unusual, so we sent an email to NISBA to request the link to the state's regulation for review, and I don't know if we've received anything back yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a Dignity Act coordinator?
We do.
And
We
what
have
would
two.
that coordinator do? Just
Well, the Dignity Act coordinator is a position that's outlined in law and regulation recently with the Dignity for All Students Act that was passed in 2011, 2012.
Yeah, 11, 12, yeah.
Dignity Act coordinator is supposed to receive complaints, investigate them, complaints for bullying and harassment, investigate them in an objective way, and then provide feedback and recommendations to, typically it's the principal, it doesn't have to be, for a recommended response to that. The idea is to separate the investigation from the follow-through consequence, if any. We do have two people identified, the board approved back in July as Dignity Act coordinators. We are revisiting our Dignity Act coordinators right now because our Dignity Act coordinators have been our counselor and our counselors, one counselor and one psychologist, and we have recognized that that can be a conflict of interest because often students whose names come up in these investigations are also people that counselors have trusting, confidential relationships with. So we're trying to figure out where to go from here. In the meantime, we're certainly using the Dignity Act coordinator as the person who receives the complaint. From there, we do have options as to who can investigate and then to whom that recommendation can go, and we're taking advantage of our options there. So we're making some changes within the span of the rule, and we'll probably have some. I'll probably have some recommendations in July for changes to that. Thank you.
sorry, Joan.
That's it. No, it's basically.
Daz. You spell it out, it confused me. Superintendent's report. Thank you, Joe. Superintendent report.
Good job, Joe. Okay, so I'd like to highlight two things in my superintendent's report today. One is the recent public recently publicized graduation rates that the State Education Department has put out, and then also talk about some of our upcoming events and activities here in the school district. But starting with graduation rates. So this past week, maybe it was yesterday, the State Education Department released graduation rates for the 2017-18 year. As a district, this is an area in which we continue to shine. Now I say that knowing that this year's graduation, the most recent graduation rate being reported for 2018 is 93%, and for 2017 was also 93%. This is much higher than the state average, and I'll talk a little bit about that. It's always important to recognize that in the small school district, small numbers, small variations can have significant changes. We did have a much lower graduation rate if you go back 5 or 6 years, and that was one of those years, unusual years. But typically, our graduation rates are 90% or higher. And so, once again, I think this is an area in which we shine. Graduation rates are based on what's called cohort data. So it's not just looking at the seniors who are on the stage. It's actually looking at the cohort group that started in 9th grade. So for 2018, it would be the cohort group that started 9th grade in 2014, and then keeping track of that entire cohort for those 4 years. And so 93% of those students who started 9th grade graduated on time. And those by graduation, we're talking about a diploma, and that's local, regents, or advanced designation diploma. When a student is on stage with another kind of commencement credential, like the CDOS, or the the one that's very specific to disabled students. Sorry, name escapes me. Those are not calculated in that successful percentage. But you've heard me say this before. Typically, those are students who are real success stories. And when we look at our real graduation rate, what I call our real graduation rate, it's often higher than this number. So, but 93% is our formal graduation rate. Now, for comparison, statewide graduation rate was 80.4%, and as of June of 2018, or 82.6% if you count students who graduated in August. So actually, a pretty significant chunk of students graduate in the summer, statewide. And just for other comparisons' sake, that's a statewide number. Essex County schools have high graduation rates. Overall, 89% last year of Essex County students graduated. That includes our students as well. Franklin County graduation rate is 85% last year. And then just a statewide comparison of school districts that are in our category in terms of relative wealth. So we're considered an average need district, and overall statewide average need districts students graduate 87.9%. So again, we're higher than that as well. And then if you want to compare it to New York City, just because New York City, in our state is also the largest school district in the country, the graduation rate for New York City was 72.7%. And that is, significantly lower than the state average, and of course significantly lower than our average. I bring that up because New York City's state exam scores averages. And you remember I spoke about state exam scores a few meetings back. It's higher than ours, right? And so I think at that meeting I talked about the disconnect between those state exam scores and other indicators of success like graduation rate. This is an example. Just some other numbers to look at. So our students with disabilities graduated in 2018 at a rate of 67%. That's compared to 55.9% statewide. And again, that doesn't include students with disabilities who were on stage with a CDOS or another credential. And then our graduation rate for economically disadvantaged students was 82%. So comparatively speaking, that's a very high number. It is lower than our average rate. Right? So our economically disadvantaged students, again, you've heard me talk about the gap, still graduating at a lower percentage, but not significantly lower. So although we don't like to see any students slipping through the cracks and not graduating, our graduation rate reflects, I think, our supportive and caring environment here in Lake Placid. I think we can all be proud of what we accomplish here, and I think that we should be very thankful to not just the school district in general, but the people who really support our kids, our teachers, our teaching assistants, our counselors, who do an amazing job looking for those kids who are not being successful and helping them figure out how to succeed here. Our special education program, which I think does a tremendous job, and then programs like our career and technical education classes, because sometimes that's where a kid's attention is captured, and a kid who is unmotivated until they hit that program changes the way they look at school. So a lot of people to thank, and a lot of aspects of our school district, I think, to really be proud of when it comes to this kind of achievement. So that's our graduation rates. In terms of upcoming events and activities, so you probably know our Winter Carnival finished on Saturday. It's the middle and high school's Winter Carnival, finished on Saturday after opening ceremonies, which are on Thursday. The events were on Thursday afternoon and Friday. The coronation was Saturday, and then the snowball hop followed that. So many thanks to the people who put in hours of extra time organizing, setting up, taking down, cleaning up. We have great students who make the most of this big event, but we also have great staff who do everything they can to make sure that this event is special for our students. So,
Roger, do you think that we can explore the idea of, and I could be completely out of the loop on this, but in years past, the elementary school used to be more involved with doing things at the elementary school during Winter Carnival week, where it was special for them as well. And I don't know if we've just gotten away from that with the changeover in administration down there over the years, but I definitely know when my children were younger, and some of the ones that were here, during Winter Carnival week, the elementary school participated as well. And did things, and I don't think we do that anymore.
Not much, no, except for the participation during the coronation.
Yeah, they get pulled up to go to the coronation,
Right.
but they haven't really participated in the Spirit Week, which I think we should put down at the lower level.
Other things, PBIS is strong at the elementary school. I think it's a real source of positive energy at the elementary school. Their theme this month is tolerance. And so our students will be focused on learning to appreciate and respect people who may be different from themselves this month. If you ever go down there and get a chance to look around, usually the walls and some of the activities reflect the theme of the month. On Sunday, our girls hockey team competed in the sectional championship game. They came to that game with the top seed, but they were not able to overcome a strong Plattsburgh team, and so their season ended on Sunday. But real congratulations to the girls and the coaches for a terrific season. Lydia Bullock was named MVP of the section. For her. Tomorrow, our sophomores are traveling to the Adirondack Education Center, and this is their way to explore what the CTE programs are there that they can participate in for their junior and senior year. Those are all options that they'll start to consider for scheduling as they look towards next year. And really all of our high school students will be working on preparing for next year, meeting with counselors, registering for classes, those kinds of things in the upcoming weeks and months. Thursday of this week is the All-County Music Festival, and this is where our high school musicians travel to. This year it's in Mariah to play with students throughout Essex County, and then there will be a concert. I think it's at 6:30 on Thursday night. So if you happen to find yourself somewhere near Mariah, I'd like to encourage you to stop by.
Do something I may be.
Yeah.
That's
Brian is going, Mr. Liam is going.
Other things, our athletic season is coming to, we're getting close to the end of our athletic season. Our girls hockey season did end, but our other athletic teams are still going strong, but our senior games are coming up. So we have senior games coming up for girls basketball on Friday, for boys basketball on Saturday, boys hockey is on Monday, and then Nordic skiing is on Tuesday. So over the course of the next 7 or 8 days, we'll be celebrating our seniors as they play compete in their last home game. And then coming up on Friday the 15th, we have a professional development day. So that's a half day for staff development. And then that's followed by the President's Day long, that's the long 4-day weekend for students. Although the board doesn't get all that time off. That Tuesday night we have a board meeting, so we'll see you then. That's everything.
Any questions, comments? Right into information for the board. There's several items. The fiscal stress report from the State Controller's Office, the audit claims report, the Alice letter that went out to families last week, running for the school board. Thank you to whoever put that on there. That's nice. The compost letter, there was an email that went out from Roger earlier on that. But, the additional merger information and the administrative contracts for the 8 staff individuals under contractors. Any discussion or concerns, questions?
There's also a link on there for the school board
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
You know, so as we're coming up on people going to run for school board, and share that.
Thank you. There are a couple of questions from Martha here. Fiscal stress score letter was the 6.7 Enviro stress in 2006, the retaining wall. I didn't find that.
2016,
Yes.
you want to know why we had a 6.7 instead of a 0?
I
I'm going to
guess.
check with our business manager on that. Do you know? No, doesn't know. That was a couple years ago. Yeah. So typically, the fiscal stress, and Dana, again, jump in if you have anything to add. Typically, the fiscal stress represents when the district is doing something which that they see as an unwise direction to be headed. A low score isn't anything to worry about, but as you get higher, they consider you to be a fiscally stressed district. So for 6.7. Sometimes this comes up when you're spending money out of your
Right.
fund balance.
Right.
Or they see a very
Retaining
low
fund
fund
balance.
balance, yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't have that in 2016, so I'm not exactly sure why that's the case.
I'll have her check with one of you two. The other surprise, the claim audit report has handwritten notes on it. Can it be computerized so we can track these better?
See that?
Yeah, it's Andrea, it's when she comes in, she gets a stack of checks, and she just goes through that checklist, right, Dana?
Yeah, I think what Rick's pointing out too
Yeah.
is these handwritten notes right here.
That's just, these are Martha's
Yeah.
questions that I thought I'd throw out.
For which one?
It's the claims audit, the one Andrea does, the quarterly report. See, they're handwritten notes on the warrants.
Yeah, I think it's just when the handwritten note, looking here, is like the warrant number when she's come in type of deal. Like I'm looking at the first handwritten, you'll see that it says 11019. When she came in, it was warrant number 22. So a lot of those handwrittens are just, sometimes we've actually, during the busier time, we actually asked her to come in more frequently, rather than, say once, twice a month. We've asked her to come in one extra time a month. So when you look at what pages, it's page 3. There's 2 warrants there, warrant 22 and warrant 21. So I think there's just kind of notes in terms of when she's come in, how long she stayed, checks that she reviewed, check numbers that she's reviewed as well.
I mean, this is not a computerized system, so I don't think you could.
No.
It is what it is.
And one other, the Alice letter. Is this letter hinting at a larger conversation we were having on SROs?
So it was not intended to do that. So what the letter was intended to do was to inform parents that the drills might be changing. These are the lockdown drills because we, as you know, you've heard us talk about this starting back in the summertime, started to explore the alternative approaches to lockdowns. And then we decided to go farther with that and to train our staff in that, but we have not yet run our students through lockdown drills that include the alternatives. We didn't want to do so without letting parents know that this was coming up. So that's what the letter was for, is to give parents a heads up, let them know. We're using this term ALICE. That's an acronym put out by the company that spearheads this program. We like them. We think they're widely supported by agencies out there, but we really hadn't had that conversation much with parents. So this was an opportunity to share that information with parents. Yeah, there was no suggestion, at least there was no intended suggestion.
Do the students go through the ALICE training as well? I mean, I know the teachers do, staff do.
So the teachers do, but the students will actually really experience that through the drills, through the lockdown drill.
Okay.
And the lockdown drill, and it'll be preceded with, their teachers talking about what some of the changes are.
But they're not watching the video?
No, they're not watching the video.
Because I can't see all the elementary kids
Right.
doing that anyway.
And who is John Culpepper and Jennifer Perry?
Right.
This is under the compost.
Yeah, so the composter letter was a response to two people who are working through the North Country School, who have been central in this grant, receiving the grant for the composters. This grant, I'll have to apologize in advance. I mean, I got all the details right here. But this grant that was given, this is all related to the sustainability grant that started with the $1 million grant that the town of North Elba received, and then chose not to use it, and so money's being funneled in a different direction, and so some of it's going to the composter, and so they have installed one of these composters at the North Country School, and now there's money for 3 more, and so Jennifer and John were a part of that effort. Beyond that, I'd have to dig in.
I think last year, the environmental club was actually bringing the waste out to North Country School to use the composter.
Yeah, they did a presentation for us.
Yeah.
And this year, that task has been taken on by Mrs. McCandlish, some of her students. So kind of an interesting new twist on it. And this is their functional skills class.
Okay, Lincoln Goals with Agenda.
I can give you a title. I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
Jennifer Perry is the Energy Circuit Writer. That's her title for the Adirondack North Country Association, and she's affiliated with this project that's a part of the North Country Camp Treetops program, and the grant is coming from NYSERDA, through NYSERDA.
That's all her questions. Push send. Lincoln Goals with Agenda.
Number 2, obviously can't talk about the subject matter, but certainly it falls under education and leadership. Agenda item number 2, the executive session. Discussing. If anybody else, I got a couple others. Under section 7, letter N would be goal number 6, finance. On agenda item number 8, certification of lead evaluators would fall under number 4, leadership, at least. And letter E under that same section would fall under goal number 1, students first and foremost. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I think the superintendent's report reflecting on the graduation rates and then the current events is students first and foremost.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I didn't know how to deal with all the staff retirements. That can fall under any of our strategic goals.
Finance?
Finance.
Finance, I guess, yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, moving on to personnel. Wow. You don't want to know what I said when I saw this. I said, wow, there's an error here.
Yeah, there's a couple of repeats.
So, first, I'm always intrigued with the letters of retirement or letters of resignation, and how some are very comprehensive and complete, and others are just, they go strictly by,
I'm outta here.
their contract. But it was enlightening to read some of these, and Bob's was, I loved his pictures. If you didn't get to see those, his pictures of, I guess it
Beginning and
was
ending.
when he began and when he ended, but, so, he looked, who was that, Mr.
Comto.
Who was that?
Funny.
The television show that was on, he looks like him.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
But anyhow.
that Welcome Back, Kotter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cotter.
He does.
Good call.
I thought that's where you were going.
Yeah.
I just take the roundabout route.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew what you meant.
So first,
Could we just
Sure.
just as an introduction, I just think it's really important to say that this is really a bittersweet moment. You know, I think the sweet part of that is that we get to celebrate people who have given so much to this district, and you're looking at a list of people who have given so much, often without any kind of recognition, without any kind of notice sometimes, but giving it nevertheless and doing it well. But also along with that, a regret that this is a loss for us as well. It's a loss of talent. It's a loss of many years of experience. Many. I didn't count them up. I'm gonna guess a couple of 100 years of experience here. But also a loss of friends and really members of the school family. So this is tough. I like to congratulate people when they hand in their letters of retirement, but we all know that it marks a really significant change, and there's some sadness there as well for all of us, I think. So just thank you to all of these people for all they've done for all these years.
Absolutely.
found myself saying, oh no, a
Yeah.
couple of times, and I haven't been around the district that long, so. All right, let's take these one by one. Teaching A, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the resignation of Thomas Dodd.
Retirement.
Retirement. May I start over? Upon recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Thomas Dodd, computer teacher at the elementary school, the district technology director, effective June 30th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Yes, good.
Thanks, Joe.
Second that.
Second, Liam, thank you. Any discussion?
I had him as a teacher, I think he was computer science. It was great. He taught coding, and I think he was my first kind of introduction to guts of what goes on the internet way back in the day.
When I arrived in Lake Placid, I walked into my new office, 1997, and there was a rotary phone sitting on top of a phone book and a stack of handwritten schedules. And because there had been some resistance here in the school district to making the shift technologically. But a few years before I got here, Tom Dodd got here. And so you could see the change already happening. And what a change it's been, and it's really kind of a representation of the societal change that we've seen, the technical shifts that we've seen. So just a big thank you to Tom for really just, guiding us through that and really, I think, educating people and inspiring people to take that step into the next century.
Thank you.
Yes, I don't know why I'm not in the meeting.
You're here.
There's something going on in
Yes.
Do you want me to mark your yes?
This, yeah.
6-4-0 against. And moving to the next, upon recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Margaret Gallagher, special education teacher at the middle and high school, effective June 30th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen, second.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Discussion.
Question.
Ms. Gallagher is just a wonderful advocate for students, and that connection she's had with kids for 30 years has just been so powerful. So thanks to Margie for all she's done.
Thank you.
Yes.
For, 0 against, motion passes. 7C, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Susan Hickman Miller, special education teacher at the middle and high school, effective October 1st, 2019. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Liam. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? Comments?
I'll just add my comments on Susan. The two words that come to mind with Susan, warmth and kindness, and she just evokes it. And she has been a great support system for our students in the special ed program for all these years she's been here.
Thank you. Six, 4-0 against, motion passes. 7D, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Robert Lepek, science teacher at the middle high school, effective July 1st, 2019. Make a motion, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Jeff first, Liam second. And discussion?
I'm going to tell a story on behalf of my sister. So if she's out there listening on YouTube. She did terrible in his geology class. Oh, just so bad. However, she ends up. It made a huge impact on her, and her improvement in the class to eventually pass made such an impression on her that she ended up actually majoring in geology and worked for CHM2 Hill, which is a big environmental consulting firm, cleaning up nuclear waste until she finally decided that wasn't for her anymore. So,
That's great.
Thank you. It's a great story.
All 5 of our children had him in high school, so it's just really interesting. Many of us can say that of our children. Yeah, really missed.
The kids went through the high school, they had Valpo Pack.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jack.
absolutely.
Motion passes 6-4-0 against.
I'm just doing a little math, Mike. We're well into the hundreds of years.
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Colleen Skufka, speech and language teacher, effective June 30th, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. Second?
Yes.
Dan. Any discussion, comments?
Gonna be missed.
Yeah, definitely.
She will, absolutely.
Wow.
I'm wondering how many speech impediments she cleared up.
Right, and talk about the unheralded success stories, right?
Yeah.
Right, because the kinds of successes that she has inspired are not the kinds of things that get put in newsletters or get put
Sure.
on the
And how much that
website.
impacts people's lives, just the ability.
Huge change.
6-4-0 against, motion passes. 7F is upon the recommendation of superintendent, accept the retirement of Kimberly Weems, music teacher at the middle and high school, effective June 30th, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Dan first, Joan seconded.
Yep.
Discussion?
Would love to vote no on this.
I know, really, what are we gonna do? She's a dramatic I mean, from when I was, I'd been through the whole, I was in choir, I was in the band, I was in the drama club, and, when she came here, it just took it to the next level. Just took all those, all of our performing arts, at least when I was here. So she'll definitely be
She's
missed.
been a powerful, positive force
Absolutely.
in promoting the arts in our school district. She's going to be greatly missed.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have to take everybody a trip down memory lane, but these are all
Please do.
these are all the teachers that I have,
No, that's great. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Julie Weinstein, 6th grade social studies teacher at the middle and high school, effective June 30th, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. Seconded by Liam. Discussion?
6th grade teacher. I had her again. Great teacher. This school's gonna miss another one. A good one. We're gonna miss.
I think that's true, and she's always been part of a great team too, and I think a real leader in that team. And the team has shifted over the years, and really, I guess with Julie, kind of goes the team, the last of the team that was here for such a long period of time. That included Leslie Burney and George Bailey, Cindy Gallagher, and others who have come and now gone. But Julie's been again, a magnet for kids, and somebody who was just such a perfectly placed in 6th grade.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. And it's interesting at the opening of the Winter Carnival, when the teachers are announced to come up to get their medals, how much appreciation that the kids give them. It really is refreshing. 7H is, we move on to the teaching assistant retirements. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Linda Jones, teaching assistant at the middle and high school, effective June 30th, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
Second by Dan. Discussion? Comments?
Just reading the paragraph, and what is the Nobel connection? Can you expand on that a little bit? That's kind of interesting.
So I learned things when people retired. I try and dive in to kind of reflect on their career here, and that was something that I learned that was new. So I'm going to read a little bit here. In 2010, she received a personal email from a member of the Nobel family. And I just thought this was such a great story because this group had invited students to nominate great teachers in their lives. And one of our students, and again, I don't know the backstory here, I was not a part of this, one of our students nominated Linda Jones as an outstanding educator of distinction. And so she received this letter from a member of the Nobel family, which was personalized and was meant to really reflect the impact she had had. And I just thought, I know Linda well, and sometimes our teaching assistants don't get the credit they deserve because their title teaching assistant sort of suggests that they're not teachers. Boy, is she a teacher, right? And sometimes it doesn't always reflect the kind of impact they have on kids that they work with. And yet, that was, I thought, maybe the tip of the iceberg for what Linda has accomplished here. So I thought it was a great story.
That was a great story.
5-4-0 against. Second, teaching assistant retirement. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Jane Ladusik, teaching assistant at the elementary school effective July 12th, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Second.
Yes.
Joan, thank you. Comments, questions?
Gary gonna be ready?
That's a good question.
I think yes.
I know that Jane's looking forward to finally getting a chance to spend some time with her husband, who retired last year. But I will tell you from the point of view of the elementary school, this is somebody who spreads her goodwill just by being who she is. And she is one of the most optimistic, upbeat people I know. And it's all around her, and kids feel it, and teachers feel it. Everybody wants to be around her. She's had a tough time the last few years in some ways, but you never saw that impact, the kind of inspiring, upbeat personality she shares with everybody else. So, like I said before about Bittersweet, we're very happy that Jane's going to get to spend some quality time with her husband. But boy, this is a real loss for us, because just what a positive influence she is.
Yeah, you saw that a few years ago when she was struggling there medically, and they did the concert for her that evening at the high school. And you could tell how many people come out and supported it.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Pamela Wilson, teaching assistant at the elementary school, effective June 26, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff. Second.
Yes.
Joan, thank you. Any discussion?
I'll just say that right now Pam works closely with kind of a more mainstream student population. But what people do tend to forget is how important a player she was with some of our most seriously disabled students in the district, who she supported in some cases for years, and how much we relied on her and how much those students relied on her, and how well she served those kids. So just real heartfelt thanks to all that Pam Wilson's done over the years.
Motion passes 5-0. CSEA staff retirement. On the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the retirement of Karen Mary Hugh Knox, physical therapist, effective June 26, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Second.
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. Any discussion?
I think you should talk about Karen.
Actually, Karen was the physical therapist at the hospital when I arrived here in 1991. She was the only one. It was interesting because our paths sort of separated. She went her way and I stayed there, and then I started working at the school actually as a physical therapist, and part-time, not even part-time, it was a couple of hours a day, and I just couldn't do it anymore with the growing rehab department. So Karen took over. She came in to the rescue, and because they were really struggling to find a physical therapist, and she really found her niche with kids. She's a big kid.
She's a big kid.
And she just
favorite.
gets along
They love being with her.
very well, and does great things for them. So she'll be missed as well.
So that makes 273 years. I took the challenge.
Thank you.
Right.
273.
Yeah.
That's worthy of an article.
Right?
Okay, next item up on the personnel is upon the recommendation of the superintendent, accept the resignation of Charles Chauncey, teaching assistant at the Elementary School effective February 11th, 2019. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Liam. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. Discussion? Comments? Questions? Vote, please. Five, 4, 0 against. The motion passes. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve Cameron Shipman as a long-term teaching assistant at the middle high school beginning January 28, 2019 through June 26, 2019. Salary will be at $24,668, step 1, level 1, prorated of the teacher assistant salary schedule for the 2018-2019 school year. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. Any questions, comments?
She has done a great job with the girls modified basketball this year. They're undefeated at the moment, but she has built the confidence of those girls, and it really shows.
And she's doing a terrific job. She's been working as a long-term substitute for the first half of the year already, and she's done a terrific job for us. We're really pleased to be able to continue her here in all capacities.
Thank you. Vote, please. 5, 4, 0 against, the motion passes. Substitute pay increases. Upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approve the increases for the 2019-2020 school year in teacher and teaching assistant substitute pay, as well as the support staff substitute rates as indicated below. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Discussion?
How are we doing with like maintaining a good, group of substitutes that we can use on a, consistent basis?
So we're doing better than we thought we were going to be doing at the beginning of the year, because we're working hard at recruiting people and we're working hard at getting certified teachers here. But it's keeping them that we're worried about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually where this is coming from. We're trying to maintain sort of a steady, predictable recognition that, in order for us to be able to hold on to some of these really good people that we rely on, we need to be able to, pay them what they're worth. So, we've had some struggles this year. I'm not going to say we haven't, but Karen in particular works very hard at bringing names of people and people with good backgrounds to me. I then meet people and kind of assess them as being ready to be substitutes in the schools, and from there we sign them up and we send them out to work with us. And I got a lot of good feedback from them, and I know that we're small enough that they're able to sort of find me and others and let people know what they think. And typically, our substitutes see our schools as pretty good places to be. So far so good.
Do we ever use as an opportunity to poach talent for?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Certainly a number of our teaching assistants started out as substitutes. Some of our teachers did too. Right now, because of a teacher shortage, a general teacher shortage, it's probably not as pronounced in that respect. But absolutely. We do. We try and get people here. I always joke with them. I say, if you're trying to become a substitute teacher, to decide whether or not you want to become a teacher, I want to warn you, you're gonna love it, you know? And that's typically what happens. And then people who are already certified and maybe want to take that next step, we're still able to decide, you know, to assess their qualifications. But they are often people who aren't certified. So what they're deciding is whether or not to go to school or go back to school. And so sometimes there's a few years of transition. You know, during this time they're substituting, they're off to school, they're back substituting. Some of those people are very good. So they become pretty good candidates for us, yeah.
I must say, over the years, this increase has become proactive as versus reactive. I remember the first couple of years it was reacting to the other tri-like schools saying they raised theirs, so we're being a little more proactive, I believe, now. So hopefully that helps as well. Motion passes 5-4-0 against. Additional action items, those were all in the consent agenda. Are there any questions regarding the February 19th special education packet that was in their agenda? If not, we'll move on to the adjournment phase.
In March,
Yes.
they're gonna start doing the reviews for next year.
So they begin to grow.
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty early, isn't it? Or is it?
Not really.
Can't remember. Just try to
April.
move them all. May and
I
June.
have so many.
All right, adjournment phase, next meeting, date and location, February 19th. Is a board meeting, and then as needed, which it will be, I'm sure, is the budget work session on February 26th. Those are all listed.
I will not be here on the 19th. I'll be in the Caribbean, sorry.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Rains.
Early hurricane coming our way.
It only
that's
rains for 3
mean.
minutes.
That's right, yeah.
We could make her Skype in.
From the beach.
Yeah, no.
Old agenda items, new board member orientation, and current phone policy review. We'll discuss those at the agenda. New agenda topics. Anybody have any new agenda topics? If not, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Joe, second. Gosh.
Let's think about that.
All in favor? I'm sure it's 5-4-0 against. So,
Did you say your next day?
adjourned at 8:04 p.m. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have quorum, right? We just have to sit here.
Down adjourned.
Take the jacket off. You're gonna be there a while.
Wow.
Dan doesn't move easily. That wasn't as long as I thought it was.
No, surprisingly quick.
Oh, don't give me that crap.
It's true.
Now you're sounding like physicians.